What is good, horror? This is your boy Horror Gamer back with another video for you. And in this video, as you can tell by the title, this is another Horror Gamer's Top 5. And this request comes from a very good friend of mine called Interweb Kaiju. He requested that I do a top 5 of my top 5 favorite video games. So, with all that being said, just know that some of these reviews and some of these top 5s have spoilers in them all day, every day. So, if you haven't played these games, go out there, try to find them, come back, let me know what you think in the comment section, whether you like them as well, or whether you think I'm full of shit. Now, some of you guys are going to be surprised by some of these games, okay? So, I'd like to know what you guys' top favorite horror games are, but these are my top 5. So, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it. Number 5. Number 5, I'm going to have to go with Castlevania 64. Why will I go with number 5, Castlevania 64? It was one of the games when I was very young, I would rent at Blockbuster on a Friday night and just stay up all weekend and play through it. And it was the music that was in it, the storyline, you know, some of the fight scenes, like where you fight the wolf, the werewolf, and the vampire fights in it. It was just such a great game. I know that game gets a lot of shit from a lot of people, but I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the fact that you could pick between the two characters, and if you ever play that game, never play it on easy, because at a certain point in the game, if you don't play it on medium, you don't get to progress. The game is over for you. And I found that out the hard way when I was younger. And it is a challenging game when you play it on medium, but you're very much rewarded with the rest of the story. So number 5, I'm going to have to go with Castlevania 64. Now, number 4. Number 4, I'm going to have to go with Manhunt. And why Manhunt? Manhunt was a violent game. Like this, it wasn't necessarily monster horror or like freaky horror, but it was like violent horror. Like you play this guy who gets abducted and you have to escape, and the only way you can escape is by brutally murdering people. And they made a sequel which was just as good, but the concept of the game was fun, like the sneaking up, and it would do like a recording of you, you know what I'm saying, when you get ready to fuck somebody up, it would go to like this recording. Like the whole game was shot so rawly. It was such a good game. So number 4, if you haven't had a chance, definitely play Manhunt. Now, number 3, I'm gonna have to go with Fear, First Encounter Assault Recon. Now the reason I'm going with Fear is this game it was a mix between Call of Duty and The Ring, where it was a first-person shooter, but you're being haunted by this ghost. Now, they made 2 other sequels. Fear 2 was good. Fear 3 kind of moved towards the action-y part, kind of like Dead Space did. It wasn't a bad game. It was alright, but the first one was great. You play this guy who you're telepathically connected to this psychopath, and this little girl is haunting you throughout this game. And it has the jump scares. This thing made me jump a few times, like damn near out of my seat. Made me jump. The telepathic connection you have with this guy, like you could see what he's doing. It was just such a well-made game, and it was creepy and it was action. Like I said, it was a mix between The Ring and Call of Duty. You mash it in, you got Fear. So number 3, I definitely recommend that if you get a chance, you go out there and you play Fear. It was damn good. It was a damn good game. Now, number 2. Number 2 for me, it was so amazing. I loved every second of it. It was scary. This game was the only game to really scare me. And that game is Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. So the story behind this is you go to this ghost town that's supposedly haunted by the spirits of these ghosts who were murdered in this very ritualistic kind of way by this complete psychopathic person and she ends up killing herself. And the only weapon you have to combat these ghosts are is this camera obscura that you can upgrade throughout the game when you find the upgrades and stuff. Now, the game is your typical J-horror. It sticks with you. It's in Japanese. You gotta read subtitles, but it is such a well-made game. It feels like a Japanese horror movie. The sounds, the stillness, the creepiness when it gets loud at certain points, like the distortion of the characters, the hair, everything about it screams J-horror, and it's such a well-made game. Such a well-made game. And that, my friends, is number 2 of your Horror Gamers top 5 horror games. Now, before we get to number 1, I'm going to throw out a couple honorable mentions, because while they were amazing games, and they were such good games, and they'll go down into history as a very good titles, they just didn't, for me, make the list. And the first honorable mention, we're going to have to go with Silent Hill 2. Now, just because it didn't make the list doesn't mean your boy Horror Gamer does not like this. I love this game. This game is amazing. The story behind it's really good. It was so good that they actually made a movie about it. You know what I'm saying? And it was such a well-made game. It was creepy when you run into Pyramid Head and the dolls and everything about it. Just the stillness of it and the music. Everything about Silent Hill 2 was such an amazing game. And like I said, it was just because it didn't make the list doesn't mean I don't like it. I love Silent Hill 2. It's just it wasn't in my top 5. And then last honorable mention I'm going to throw up there is Splatterhouse. Now, Splatterhouse was one of those games where they took the gore and they threw it at you right in your face, and they didn't apologize for it at all. Splatterhouse was one of those side-scrolling games where you're this guy who's wearing a fucking Jason hockey mask, and you're just walking through this house, and you're beating the shit out of demons. You're ripping them apart. There's blood everywhere. Such an amazing game. It's fun. And like I said, just because I didn't add it to this list, it's definitely on my top 10 with Silent Hill. But it just didn't make the top 5. But it's such a well-made game. If you haven't checked either one of those games out, definitely check it out. I know Xbox on Xbox Marketplace has the Silent Hill collection. I think it's Silent Hill 2 and 3 or something like that. So you can definitely get a hold of that. Splatterhouse is a little harder to get a hold of, but I'm sure you can go on online and find a mod for it or whatever. And then, now, the number 1 favorite video game of all time. Well, if you can't tell by the poster behind me, it is Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 not only is my favorite horror video game of all time, Resident Evil 2 is my favorite video game of all time, with all the genres combined into one. The music in it was just amazing. The save room music, the police station music, you know, Sherry Birkin, Leon Kennedy, Claire Redfield, the characters were amazing. You know, you start off in Raccoon City, and you work your way to the police station, and then you're in this claustrophobic police station full of zombies, and you're running from lickers, you're running from a tyrant, William Birkin, who's this huge monster. I just can't say enough good things about Resident Evil 2. And then, to top it all off, they come out with a Resident Evil 2 remake. While not as good as the original, it's still amazing. And the only reason I'm saying it's not as good as the original is because the nostalgia factor. You know, you still see some things from the original in it, but for me, with this case, even though Resident Evil 2 Remake is an amazing game, the original Resident Evil 2 will always be my favorite video game of all time. So, Interweb Kaiju, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I answered your question. And as for the rest of the Horror Horde, I love you guys. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And don't forget, October is Horror Horde Appreciation Month. So if you want to see a specific top 5, if you want to see a review, if you want to hear a creepypasta, a Legends of, let me know in the comment section. This is you. October is y'all month. You guys decide what your boy Horror Gamer puts up. And also, don't forget, if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button along with that dingly-ding-ding button. That way, every time your boy Horror Gamer throws up one of these top 5s or is it worth the hates or anything like that, you're always in the know. We're almost at 1,000, guys. I can taste it. So, when we hit 1,000, there will be a contest announcement. It's going to be an epic one, so stay tuned for that. So, with all that being said, H0rr0rr, I love you guys. Thank you, and as always, this is your boy Horror Gamer saying until next time, don't fear the darkness. Embrace it.